Hi folks, it's Andy. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. We've got some fantastic questions today. You might notice that I'm bespectacled this morning. That's because I am suffering from some pretty terrible hay fever allergies. So if I look all puffy and red-eyed and stuff like that, I'm fine, all right? But I can't be doing with contact lenses at the minute because it's just not happening, all right? Mother Nature is against me. Let's get into these questions, but before we do, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Ring the Kendo bell. When you hit subscribe, a little bell appears there. If you ring that bell, you press it, it'll ring silently, and you'll start to improve at Kendo from that very moment. It's a sort of magical Kendo bell. So yeah, scientifically proven. So yeah, make sure you do that. And of course, if you like the content that I put out, if you like these videos, I've got more videos on the way, by the way. I've got a great series that I'm working on at the minute. I've got some more practical videos as well in the pipeline. So yeah, stay tuned for those and support us by shopping at KendoStar.com. That's my website, of course, KendoStar.com. That provides amazing, wonderful, fantastic Kendo equipment, best rated online. So it's win-win. You support us, you get fantastic Kendo gear, I get to feed my family, everybody's happy. All right, so let's get into these questions. So, hey, Andy Fisher, love the show, keep up the good work, thank you very much. The question is, how long should you do home practice, and do you think that it can form bad habits if practiced too long between dojo sessions? So, I do know this is a bit of a contentious point. It's something that I know lots of people say, like, don't do too much training on yourself or you might learn bad habits. I think, in all honesty, like, especially like outside of Japan where we've got access to very limited time in the dojo, I think that training at home is a good thing, and I would encourage it for the most part. Try to follow exactly what your teachers have told you at the dojo, and if you're unsure on it or anything like that, I'm sure you can get in touch with them and ask them. Of course, there's great YouTube channels out there that put amazing free content out there telling you sort of what to follow in terms of basics as well. I'm sure you can think of one. And if you follow the guidance on there, you can't go far wrong. So yeah, I don't think there is too much you can do, as long as you're careful to sort of stick to what you've been taught. Don't try to come up with anything on your own, of course. But I do think it's a good thing to do, all right? Especially if you keep it quite basic. If you just practice Subudi, for example, and just focus on keeping your left foot straight and not turned out to the side and bringing it up together quickly with the right, just focusing on that. When you do Okuriashi, I'm talking about, just focusing on that will substantially increase your ability in Kendo, and you can't really go wrong with that. It's simple, right? Keep your left foot straight and move it quickly together with the right. All right, so yeah, I don't think there is too much. Next one, have you ever thought about doing live online Kendo Rant where people can ask the questions in the comments bar? All right, so actually about this time last year, I did quite a few live stream videos in the Kendo Show Early Access group on Facebook. If you're not in that group, by the way, there's a link in the description. You should get in that group. That's where most of these questions come from. It's a fantastic community of Kendoka. There's like literally thousands of Kendoka in that group right now, ranging in all sort of levels and abilities. It's not just a place where you can post comments for this. It is a place where you can do that, but great discussions happening there. And of course, it's called the Early Access group, because when I put new instructional content up there, it goes in there before it goes anywhere else, so you get to see them first. So I have done live videos in there. I did a couple of them last year. I did a handful, actually. I was doing them quite regularly, actually, especially through the sort of lockdown situation everyone was in. The thing is about doing the Kendo Rant format in that way, the problem is the wonderful and amazing thing about the community that follows the content of mine is that it's spread around the world, and it's massive. We just passed 20,000 subscribers, by the way. Thank you for that. It's massive, but it is based around the world, and despite the size of it, getting everybody tuned in one place at once to sort of ask questions live is a bit of a difficult task. So what I tend to find is when I get more when I do a live stream, for example, which like I said, I've done several times, it gets more replays than it gets live views. So like if you look at this example, this is all the questions we got from a week of me putting a post out, which is great, but that's from like thousands of Kendoka. Now if I do a live stream in the you know, we're not going to get 1,000 concurrent views, you know. So my concern with it, of course, is that we might, well, the likelihood is that there won't be a massive amount of questions to do at once. The one thing I could do is I could record these live instead of recording them and then putting them up. I might look into doing that, so like live streaming them instead of instead of necessarily recording them and then pre-uploading them. But it doesn't necessarily fit into my my sort of overall scheme of things in terms of the way I put out content. But I'll give it some thought. Okay, thanks for the suggestion. Next one. I saw one recent post in which someone stated that they thought that Uchikomi Geiko was boring, and that no one likes doing kirikaeshi. Personally, I quite like doing both. Anything that helps me improve my kendo. What are your thoughts? On a separate note, are there any aspects of kendo which you're willing to fess up to being less keen on? All right, so yeah, so this is in response to the video I put up the other day of a short clip of some Kakarigeko. It was a bit of like a meme thing, and I put what's your favorite kendo practice type and why is it Kakarigeko? And somebody did comment about it being boring, but I'm pretty sure it was mainly sort of in jest. I don't think it was a super serious comment, to be honest. So, but I mean, look, I'm a bit odd when it comes to stuff like kendo practice. All right. I love kendo and I hate it at the same time. Kendo is my lifeblood. It's the air that I breathe, and it's what keeps my heart beating. At the same time, that doesn't mean that I love every aspect of it and that I always enjoy doing it. Of course I do enjoy doing it, and I do, and especially sort of more recently where I've become less competitive. But the thing is kendo is intense, hard, physical and spiritual training. Kendo's not supposed to be enjoyable. It can be, but that isn't what it exists. That's not what it exists for. So yeah, I mean, I would never consider Uchikomi Geiko as boring, but I also wouldn't consider it fun either. Same with kirikaeshi. I don't like doing kirikaeshi. I'd like it if I could get better at kendo without doing them. But that's where I'm at, I guess, with my sort of aspect, my sort of, outlook on things. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things that I'm less keen on, shall we say. I don't particularly like the Bokuto ni yoru Kihon Waza Keikoho. I know that's going to be a controversial statement. I'm happy that it exists, and I understand why it exists, but I don't think it needs to be part of the overall general kendo syllabus, like it's been kind of jammed into being. So I'm not massively keen on that. If I had to pick something, to be honest, I guess if there was something out of all of kendo, I could say, right, you can take one piece of the whole kendo sort of syllabus or the whole thing of kendo, and you can just delete one of it. That would be the top of the list, I think. I'd much prefer the Nihon Kendo Kata. Let's put it that way. Next one. What is your favorite Bokuto and why? I like this dark, heavy one that I got as a gift. Kind of like the weight. Kind of like this story behind it. Maybe the story behind it is what you mean. That sounds like a Sunuke bokken. They're really, really nice. It's like a really dark wood, but they're really hard to get at the moment. There's a bit of a crisis with bokken at the moment in Japan. Most of the craftsmen aren't really working on them at the minute, so it's a bit of a pain. I've never been much for having really posh bokken, actually. I've always thought about doing it and just never really got around to doing it, like getting a really nice one. I use a pretty basic one for the most of my practice. I actually really like the white oak one though. The premium white oak one. I really like those. I think they're really, really nice. And if I was to choose a more exotic one, yeah, it probably would be a Sunuke one, but like I said, I don't think I could get my hands on one at the minute. In terms of what do I use the most, I use a Suburi bokken or a Kiri bokken most, but that's because I don't do that much kata. But yeah, I like using a white oak one. But I actually would say as well, the compressed bamboo ones that we've got, my wife uses that. Like, it's the cheapest of the cheap that we sell, and you can get some really cheap rubbish bokken out there, right, where they're made of like reformed what do you call it, like sawdust and stuff and all sorts of rubbish, and then they just paint them to look like an oak one. And yeah, they are bad, all right, and they're not good because they make marks on other people's bokken and stuff like that. So I'd never touch anything like that. But like the compressed bamboo one that we have is a really nice one. Especially, like I say, it's really good value, and it's really well balanced. Actually, it's very lightweight. So I like that a lot. My wife likes it, of course, because it's light but strong. Next one, Hi Andy Fish says, what's your opinion about carbon fiber door? So it seems like a bit of a gimmick to me. I'm not sure they're fully made of carbon fiber either. I think they're either printed to look like that, or there's like a sheet of carbon fiber on it. I'm very skeptical that they're any lighter or any more durable than a standard plastic door. I don't like the look of them with the sort of mesh look. I have seen them where they've got that sort of carbon fiber, like you get on those boy racer car bonnets. The kind of that sort of greyish pattern. I'm not that keen on that in terms of the look of it, but I don't think they offer a particular advantage over other door other than being more expensive. Not that that's an exact advantage. So yeah, not something that's on my radar, to be honest, because I don't see the massive benefit of them. Hi Andy, what's your thoughts on Bogu evolution? Today's Bogu is often made with more model materials with performance in mind. Old school Bogu, on the other hand, is often made with longevity and prestige as a goal. Second question, do you have a preferred way of removing those salt stains from the sides of the men? Okay, so the second question, I did actually post a response to this. If you search on the channel, remove salt stains from Bogu, I've got a short video telling you exactly how to do that. All right, about Bogu evolution, I've done a bit of a video about why I don't think that the men will ever be redesigned, but I don't think that's what you're asking about. You're asking about materials and stuff. I actually disagree with your point in terms of old school Bogu being made for longevity and prestige as a goal. There was plenty of rubbish Bogu years ago as well. Plenty of it. In fact, the opposite's happened. Your cheaper end Bogu now is much better quality than the cheaper end Bogu of the past. And I think the highest spec Bogu is just as durable as the high spec Bogu of years ago as well. So I don't agree that prestige is more of a goal. What I would say is that Bogu has become more affordable in the last 20 years or so. Because of modern materials being available and because of improvements in how machine Bogu has been made, machine stitched Bogu. So what you can get is a relatively good quality machine stitched Bogu for a much, much cheaper price than you could in the past. Whereas in the past, if you paid the same sort of price, you get an absolute piece of junk. Because the vast majority of Kendo practitioners in Japan, of course, are children, now parents have got a better option where they can spend a more reasonable amount of money to get a better set of Bogu that will protect the kids better and probably last a little bit longer. But the amount of keiko that those kids do, especially when they get into junior high school and high school, it's somewhat considered a consumable anyway. They'll usually buy them a decent set. when they go into junior high that's expected to last them through to the end of high school. But, you know, they're not going to get through on one pair of kode. They'll usually have 3 or 4 pairs of kode, of course. And most of them, the serious ones, will have 2 or 3 men as well, actually. So I don't think that it's that modern is more. I mean, modern definitely does have more performance in mind, but it's not at this for the sake, like at the sort of expense of longevity or prestige. Not at all, actually. And I'd actually say that. I mean, some of the old school Bogu, some of it is terrible. I mean, it really is. Even the expensive stuff isn't great. You know, it really isn't. I know we tend to sort of venerate this sort of old school stuff, and there is stuff that's beautiful from the past. And there is some stuff that you will never see again, especially in the sort of field of hand-stitched Bogu. I think hand-stitched Bogu, unfortunately, thanks to the improvement of the quality and the quality of machine stitched Bogu and prestige machine stitched Bogu being absolutely excellent. Unfortunately, I think the demand for hand stitched Bogu is on such a sharp downward spiral. I don't think we've got much longer left of it being available. It's already very difficult to sort of supply in regular sort of, you know, as part of a regular supply chain, and it's fraught with difficulties. The benefits you get from having a hand stitched Bogu don't massively outweigh machine stitched Bogu in the same ways that in the past. Now, of course, a great hand stitched Bogu even today is a beautiful Bogu set, very protective, very, very durable, and more durable than a machine stitched counterpart. But that difference is much closer than it used to be. And the top grade machine stitched sets, if you look at something like our Kaisei or our Praetor, they're just absolutely fantastic Bogu sets. And it's not a really great business decision me saying this, I guess, as someone that sells it. But, you know, at the moment, I don't even use hand-stitched Bogu. And I've had hand-stitched Bogu and I've had hand-stitched Bogu I absolutely love. But, like, since I got my Praetor and my Kaisei, I've just never had the need to go to it. Having said that, I am in the process of procuring hand-stitched Bogu for myself, but that's a different story. So yeah, all right, that's that one, I guess. I hope that answered it. Anyway. Hi Andy, I was watching this Toshio Mifune, I think that means, film Shinsengumi, the YouTube link, the other day, and I noticed that some of them were wearing what looked like Kendo Door. I know Kendogi is based on Yoroi. I think you mean Kendogu is based on Yoroi, so the Bogu, yeah. But were Door that look the same as today's used then also, or is this just a bit of artistic licensing? Yeah. Look, I had a quick look at the link. They're clearly just using Kendo Door, yeah. They're just using them as sort of props because they look a little bit like armor. And they're probably, they're much more readily available, especially when that film was made. And yeah, it does look similar. The Kendogu is based, and does have its heritage in the actual Yoroi, the samurai armor. But it is a bit different. Though the Bogu itself is obviously, the design of it hasn't changed in a long time. Nor should it. Not massively anyway. So yeah, I think what you'll find in that clip, they are just regular Kendo Door that they're using for sort of artistic license. Don't forget, the regular Japanese person wouldn't necessarily recognize that as a Kendo Door. You'd only recognize that as a Kendo Door if you did Kendo, yeah. So yeah. Okay, next one. Hi Andy, I have a question about gripping the Shinai. When gripping the Shinai with one hand, either for Jordan or Nito, is there supposed to be any flex between the contact points of your hand and the Shinai? Find that the lack of stability, the other arm makes the Shinai difficult to control, but gripping extremely tightly to remove flex seems off. Is there a Goldilocks zone of Shinai tightness that I should be aiming for? Thanks. Okay, let's have a look. Right, let me get a Shinai out of this basket. Right, okay. So, when you're holding just with one hand, well, no, it's the same. It's the same as for when you're using two hands. The amount of flex, there's no difference whatsoever. Not for me anyway. But I'm not a Jordan or Nito player, so. But I have dabbled with Jordan a little bit, reasonably recently. But yeah, I don't think you should grip it any more tightly. I think you'll lose the sae or the tenunchi. So yeah, it should be the same as when you do chudan. If you're struggling to control the shinai, I recommend doing more katate suburi and build up strength in your left arm. That's the thing that most Jordan players lack, is that they just don't have the strength to wield the shinai with one hand. Nito players get away with it a bit easier because they get to use their kids' shinai. So, okay. Hello, Andy. I was wondering what the warning signs a shinai can show, signaling that it's definitely time to change it out completely. That's a good question. So if it's starting to really fray a lot, like fray, I say splinter a lot, and you know, as you shave it, it does more and more, and you're starting to shave so much of the shinai away, there's not much left, and obviously that's the time to change it. To be honest, I usually find it depends. I mean, you'll probably find that the shinai breaks before that happens. Though it does happen though. But you shouldn't be breaking shinai regularly either. So yeah, that's not about what you're asking, but what you'll find is, you know, people often say that they break shinai reasonably regularly. If you find yourself breaking shinai regularly, you need to sort out your tenunchi. Okay, so there's that as well. I know people live in different climates and stuff like that. That's definitely true. So make sure your shinai's oiled and stuff like that. But you know, it's rare. You know, you shouldn't break shinais all the time. But yeah, if you're finding that it just keeps splintering, you know, and you shave it and it splinters again, shave it, splinters again, then probably it's time for it to put to rest. Time for it to be put to rest. Okay, next one. Hi Andy, can you do a logo on a Zekken without a style guide / vector image? It's a bit difficult, all right, without some sort of input from you. We can do logo on the Zekken, of course, that's not a problem, but without some sort of input from you, it's not really something we'd look to take on, because it's a little bit too, you know, we're not a graphic design house, you know what I mean? Like, we do what we do, and graphic design isn't really part of it. Now we've got a few people here who've got some skills that do our website banners and stuff, and I can do a bit of it, but it depends how complicated you're talking, and it also depends how willing you are to accept it coming out not how you imagined. Because that's of course something that could be the case. The very best thing to do, of course, is to just provide us with an image, and that's the easiest way to make sure everyone's happy. Hello, Andy Fisher. Other than safety, was there any known reason for eliminating the use of Kesakiri and Kiriyake from Kendo? Thank you. Well, Kesakiri sort of still exists in Kendo, doesn't it, with Gakudo? If I understand what Kesakiri is. So it's a bit like that. We might do it differently to how they do in some other sword styles. Kiriyage, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I tried to YouTube search it. And yeah, I mean, that sort of technique doesn't exist in Kendo if it's what came up on YouTube. But look, those sort of techniques are eliminated from Kendo because they're not conducive to the purpose of what Kendo is trying to achieve. Kendo is not about sword fighting or using effective techniques to defeat opponents. Kendo is about challenging oneself to overcome difficulties when faced with situations of stress and pressure. And in that way, you know, Kendo's the part of the way Kendo does that is through simplifying many of the aspects of sword fighting principles. So we don't need lots of different waza. Of course, why if it was a sword fight, we could hit each other in the legs, or we could stab each other in the arm or something. I don't know. But that's not what Kendo's for. So obviously there's safety issues with some types of waza as well. But I don't massively know what Kesagiri and Kiriyage is, because we don't have it in Kendo, and I'm not interested in anything other than Kendo. So, but I don't think they're required in Kendo either. So that's probably why they're not there. Next one. Hi Andy, I recently began my Kendo journey about 4 months ago. One of my senseis is a Jordan player and says I'd be good at it because of my height and size. When is a good time to start learning Jordan and any other forms for that matter? Thank you. Okay, I've talked about this quite a lot. Lots of people ask this. It depends on you and it depends on your teacher. All right. Some people can start Jordan right away. Some people need more time. Some people don't have a teacher that's willing to help them learn Jordan. Some people have teachers that want them to learn Jordan right away. So first off, it depends on the person, but as a benchmark, and this isn't to say everybody, it's the same for everybody, but as a benchmark, third dan is a good benchmark. Potentially second dan, all right? You have to be able to make strikes with Kentai no Ichi, preferably with Fumikomi, and meet the criteria of Yuko Zatotsu, okay? And if you can do that to an acceptable level where any Shimpan would recognize your strikes as a valid Yuko Zatotsu, and you can do that against a person of the same level, then that's basically the equivalent of third dan. So it really depends on your own progress, but there's a lot of principles of Kendo that are shared between Chudan and Jodan, and a lot of them, many of them are easier to learn the basics of from Chudan rather than from Jodan. It's not to say it's impossible, of course. So yeah, it depends on your sensei, but as a minimum, I'd say second dan and probably preferably third dan. If it was me, all right. Hi Andy, is it okay to have only your first and last name on your Zekken? You mean without your dojo name? Is that what you mean? No. According to the rules, no. Okay. If I remember the rules properly, you have to have some sort of affiliation on it, even if it's like your town or whatever, or your dojo, right? I've seen it before though. I mean, it's not like the end of the world. It's just not the done thing, right? Most people will have where they're from, whether that's their dojo or their town, and then their name in the middle and the name at the bottom if they've got English on it, all right? And I'd recommend against it, all right? Okay, last one. I was told by somebody that you shouldn't wear uniforms or bogu that have your name embroidered on them at gradings. What's your view on this? Well, I don't really have a view on it because it's the truth. In Japan, at most formal gradings, you're not allowed to have embroidered uniforms with your name or affiliation on. And if you turn up with one, then they'll put tape over it to hide it. The reason for this is it's to protect the anonymity of the participants, because, and I know that there's obviously practical issues with this and it's never going to be perfect, but the idea behind it is, of course, is that the participants are then not, like I say, subject to any sort of prejudice, whether that's positive or negative. Unfortunately, as with any large organizational group or something like that exists in sports, and I think it exists in anything that is out there. There is some element of internal politics that happen, right? So, this dojo doesn't really like the people from that dojo, or this dojo is really got a really good reputation and is, known for being really good. Those sort of things that are external to what are supposed to be examined, should be kept out of it. So that's why they don't want things like your name, so you couldn't be recognized as who you are, or more importantly, your affiliation or your club name. Stuff like that, or in Japan obviously it would be your school name, so those things can't be even unintentionally taken into consideration as part of the criteria against which they're grading you. So that's why it is. I don't disagree with it. I think it's a good idea. It's not foolproof. You get these super famous players. You know who they are. They don't need zekken, or they don't need name embroidery on their stuff. Everyone knows who they are, but it's the sort of principle, isn't it? Yeah, you don't want someone going, well, somebody who's on a grading panel, which would be absolutely wrong. It shouldn't happen, all right? And it's not that it does or would happen, but it's there as a preventative measure. Yeah. So say you had a grading panelist who just really hated another sensei, and then this other sensei's student comes for the grading. Oh, he's from that guy's dojo, sort of thing. They might use that as a negative way to judge against him. I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think it does happen, just to reiterate that, all right? But it's just as a preventative measure to make sure that sort of thing. It's not to make sure, because it doesn't prevent it 100%, but it's just to help sort of, prevent that sort of thing from happening. Okay? That's it. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to go now and curl up in a ball because I'm all allergied up to the eyeballs, quite literally. And yeah, I'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll be a bit more fresh-faced next week. I've got some great content on the way though, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure you shop at KendoStar so I can keep this content coming. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.